Hello everyone, I am very happy to see you guys here. If you guys have watched and learned about multi-threading in detailed concepts in our previous videos. So I have defined multiple videos about multi-threading. Each concept has been discussed internally in terms of theoretically as well as in practical coding ways, and there is a lot of videos which we have talked about in previous videos, and now it is a time to learn about all the multi-threading concepts whatever we have learned so far. It is time to just to summarize what we are going to do it. Let's say if you guys are going for an interview, and if you guys don't have much time to learn about all the concepts within multi-threading, so this is the right video where you can quickly go and summarize your refresh your knowledge regarding to multi-threading, and then you are ready to set to go. Let's get started. So here I have drafted almost like 50 questions about multi-threading. Let's go one by one. So you can also watch this video and you can read about the question and you can think about the answers, and you can just take a pause and then see my answer and then just move on. Okay, let's move on to the first question. So multitasking is executing multiple tasks at the same time. Is it true or false? Here we are talking about multitasking. Yes, it is true, because multitasking is nothing but executing multiple tasks at the same time. And multi-threading is a kind of multitasking. Really? Multi-threading is a kind of multitasking. Let's see. I'm saying yes. Let's see. Finally, we will submit the answers. And what are the different types of multitasking we have? Thread-based, process-based, all of the above, none of the above. Yeah, we have thread-based as well as process-based, right? Multitasking, we are defining into two types, right? Multitasking is divided into two types, thread-based and process-based. So all of the above. And if you write a program and also you are downloading a file at the same time in your system, this is nothing but like what? This is nothing but process-based, because you're writing a program is a separate process, and downloading a file in your internet, in your Chrome browser or whatever the browser you're using it, and at the same time is separate process altogether. So that is why it is called process-based. Execute more than one task simultaneously, where each task is part of the same program. What is this is called as? This is called as thread-based multi-threading, right? Because of the same program. Thread is a separate flow of execution to perform a job, a same flow of execution to perform a job, all of the above, none of the above. Thread is always separate flow of execution to perform a job, right? Multi-threading is, what are the answers, right? More than one flow of execution at the same time, only one flow of execution at the same time, all of the above, none of the above. Multi-threading, which means it should have multiple flows, right? So which means more than one flow of execution, right? All right, let's move on to the next one. How can you define a thread in your program? Extends thread class, implements runnable interface, all of the above, none of the above. You can do by both, either by extending a thread class or implements runnable interface. Either way you can do it. How to instantiate a thread in Java? How to instantiate a thread in Java? By using new keyword, right? We can do it, right? How to start a thread in Java? We can't do this in Java by calling start method, by calling run method. Always thread can be started with the help of start method. Make sure that you guys know that we have to start a thread, otherwise the job, it won't be get called, right? What do you mean by job of a thread in Java? See, here you go. Just now I talk about job. Now the question is now ask about what is mean by job. There is no job of for a thread. The run method is the job of a thread. The start method is the job of a thread. What do you mean by job of a thread? Job is nothing but run method, right? What is the best way to have multiple threads in your program? Either by extending a thread class or by implementing runnable interface, right? But what is the best option? You guys think about. Always implementing runnable interface, right? Because if your class implements runnable interface, you can also extend some other class which is required for your program, and also you can implement multiple interfaces. But if you already extends your thread class, then there is a very less, there is no possibility to extend any other class if you want, right? That is why you have to always go by runnable interface implementation. Runnable interface has to be passed to thread constructor. Is it true or false? Yes, right? Okay. And every Java class main method contains at least a single thread. True or false? True, right? What is the name of thread which executes the main method in your main class? no name for this thread. Main is the name of the thread which executes main method. Yes, that is correct, right? Whenever you write your Java class, if you have your main method in it, and the thread which is responsible to execute the main method is nothing but main thread, right? Nothing but the name of the thread is main. The only way to start a thread is by calling run method. Is this statement true? The only way to start a thread is by calling run method. No, we are not going to call run method. If you call run method, then the thread is not going to get start, right? So which means it is false, right? How to start a thread? You have to call start method, not by run method, right? What is the difference between calling thread.start method versus thread.run method? What is the difference between calling thread.start method versus thread.run method? No difference, all work same. Start method internally calls run method. Start method won't call run method. Actually, start method calls run method internally, right? So that is the answer. Overloading of run method is possible. Yes, possible. Overriding of run method is possible. Yes, possible. Everything is possible. Only thing is whether it will work the same way or not, right? Because whenever you call start method of a thread, it internally calls run method. There is a no argument default constructor. But if you overload it, then it won't call the overloader method. It always calls default no argument run method. And how to is it possible to override the start method? Yes, possible. Always these are all possible, right? Overloading, overriding is possible, but the way how it works is different. So here the question is to ask like whether it is possible or not, right? So it is all possible. Now let's go on to the next question. Is it possible to restart a dead thread? Is it possible to restart a dead thread? So once the job of a thread is completed, then the thread becomes dead. And is it possible to restart the same thread? No, it is not possible in Java. So what will happen if you try to restarting already a dead thread? It will give you illegal thread state exception, right? How you can make a second call to a dead thread? T.start, again T.start, right? If you call the start method second time, that's where you will get illegal thread state exception because the job has been already started. You cannot kick off again. How to set and get the name thread names? No possible to do this in Java. Exception occurs during runtime. Thread.getName is to get the name of the thread. Thread.setName of string is to get the to set the name of a given thread. Yeah, that is possible, right? By using these two methods. Now, what is the default name of a thread created by you? There is no default name. We have to provide thread name all the times. The default name will be like thread-0, thread-1. Yeah, this is correct, right? You don't need to give all the times. By default, it will have names like thread-0, 1, 2, like that, right? And what are the valid thread class constructors? So t equal to new thread of runnable or new thread of string name. So here you can pass the name of the thread which you want to create. So you can also give name of the thread while creating itself. And all of the thread, none of the above. All of the above, right? All are possible ways, right? If your class implements runnable interface, that runnable interface object has to be passed here, right? Runnable R. That is what it means. Do we have priority for a given thread? Yes, we have a priority, right? We have priority of concept, right, in the given thread. Thread priority ranges from 0 to 100. Thread priority ranges from 0 to 100. No, it's not like 0 to 100. Now let's move to the next one. Choose the correct answers below. Maximum priority of a thread is 100. No, that is not correct. Maximum priority of a thread is 10. That is correct. Minimum priority of a thread is minus 10. No. Minimum priority of a thread is 1. Yes. And default priority of a thread is 0. No, that is not correct. Default priority of a thread is 5. Yes, that is correct. Default priority of a main thread is 5. Sorry, this is not correct because default priority of a thread is 5 is not correct because default priority of a thread is inherits from its parent thread. Only the default priority of the main thread is 5. Alright, I have explained detailed in the previous videos where always the main thread default priority is 5, but if you create any thread and the default priority of that particular thread which you creates is always inherit from the parent thread which is responsible to create your thread, right? And normal priority of a thread is 0, normal priority of a thread is 5. Yeah, this is correct. So basically answer is maximum priority of a thread is 10, minimum priority of a thread is 1, default priority of a given thread or main thread is 5, normal priority of a thread is 5. Okay. Now let's move to the next one. Choose the correct answers below. Not possible to get the priority of a thread, not possible to set the priority of a thread. Get priority is to get the priority of a thread, set priority is okay. These two are possible, right? To get and set the priorities. By using these methods, we can able to do it. What is the yield method in Java? There is no yield method in Java. Current executing thread will pause for some time and give chance to other threads with more priority. Current executing thread won't pause if we use yield method. If you guys remember correctly, yield method is to make current executing thread to pause for some time and look for other threads, anything is waiting, and give them the chance if they have more priority on that. So this is the typical example which I was explaining with respect to waiting in the counter, where you are like waiting to make a bills and other person in front of you is making no transaction, but he's taking long time. So that person has to look back in the line if someone is waiting for them, right, with the same or more priority, right? So that is what the answer is. So what is join method in Java? There is no join method in Java. If a thread T1 wants to wait till T2 completes its job, then T1 has to call T2's join method. If a T1 wants to wait till T2 completes, then T2 has to call T1's join method. So what is the right answer? Maybe you guys guessed it correctly. Yeah, this is correct. If a thread T1 wants to wait till T2 completes, then T1 has to call T2's join method. So this one I explained to multiple practical example. So one of the example is something like, let's say if you two persons are going for writing an exam, and if the first person completes exam very quickly and he is waiting outside, so the first person has to tell the second person that, I'm waiting outside and I will join with you. So in that case, the first person has to call the second person's join method. Okay guys, I hope you guys are remembering that funny examples. What are the possible join methods in Java? Join of, join long of millisecond, join of long millisecond when integer nanoseconds, all of the above, none of the above, all of the above. What is the sleep method in Java? There is no sleep method in Java. If a thread T1 wants to pause for some time, then it has to call thread.sleep of integer milliseconds method. Yeah, that is correct. If there is a possibility, right? If you want to make some pause, you have to call sleep method. Choose all the possible right answers. Yield method may throw interrupted exception. Join method may throw interrupted exception. Sleep method may throw interrupted exception. So basically, the threads which are going to take a pause, right, or going for waiting, can throw interrupt exception. If a thread is calling a join method, there is a possibility that it has to go on waiting state. So only waiting thread can be interrupted, right? Otherwise, also sleeping threads can be interrupted. So only possible way is join and sleep. Now let's move on to the next one. Choose all the possible right answers. Controlling the access of single thread is called synchronization. Controlling the access of multiple threads to access the same or common shared resource is called synchronization. So if you have single thread, there is no point of synchronization. So first A option is not a right answer. So controlling the access of multiple threads to access same or common resource. Yeah, this is correct, right? Multiple threads, same or common shared resource. Synchronization helps in avoiding the data inconsistency problem. Is it correct? Synchronization helps in avoiding data inconsistency problem. Yes, that is correct. Synchronization helps in improving the performance. No, if you use synchronization, there will be a reducing the performance, right? So this will be the answers, right? Okay. Now let's move to the next one. Choose all the possible right answers. There is no locking mechanism in Java. No, that is not the right answer. We have locking mechanism. There are two types of locks in Java: object level and class level locks. Yes, that is correct. Class level locks are applied by using static synchronized keyword. That is correct. Object level locks are applied by using synchronized keyword. That is correct. So that is the difference, right? If you use synchronized keyword, there is nothing but object level lock. If you use static synchronized, that is called class level lock. Synchronization blocks are better than synchronization methods. Yeah, that is correct. This also explained with the help of example of if you are traveling from A to B, and if there is any traffic in between, let's say 10 kilometers, there is some traffic. It's not necessary that, or it's not recommended to go in slow speed even from starting from A. Wherever there is a required speed limit, you can go. So based on that, if you apply a synchronization logic at the block level, it is always better than methods. Both the object and class level locks can be applied at synchronization methods and block levels. That is correct. You can apply both either class level locks or object level locks in either way, like method or block level, right? That is possible. Now choose all the possible right answers. Inter-thread communication is not possible. No, threads can intercommunicate in Java, right? So then first is not an option. Threads can talk each other internally by using yield, notify all methods. Yes, that is correct. Inter-thread communication helps in reducing the checking time of thread each other and hence better performance. Yes, that is correct, right? So in order to avoid the checking time, so each thread can talk each other with the help of these methods, and then which will definitely improve the performance, right, when compared to normal way of doing it. So that is these two are the right answers. So what is deadlock condition in Java? There is no concept like this in Java. So actually in Java we have a deadlock condition concept is there. So if two or more threads are waiting for each other and forever, so that is more important keyword, right? So waiting for each other and forever, then this condition is called deadlock. So that is correct. How to avoid deadlock condition in Java? There is no concept like this in Java. Don't use synchronous keyword unnecessarily. No, we can't avoid deadlocks in Java. No, we can able to avoid deadlocks, which means like if you really don't know where to use synchronous keyword, please don't use it. So that is a recommendation. So one way of avoiding deadlock condition is nothing but don't use synchronous keywords unnecessarily, right? So that is the option. So choose all the possible right answers. Daemon threads are background executing threads in Java. Yes, that is correct. Garbage collector is an example of daemon threads. Yes, that is correct. Daemon threads are to support non-daemon threads. That is correct, right? So all the background threads are to support the actual threads, right? So main thread is always a non-daemon thread in Java. Definitely, because main thread cannot be a background threads, right? We can't change the main thread to daemon. Yes, definitely, because even though you have multiple ways to make some daemon and non-daemon threads, but main threads we cannot make it to daemon threads. All the remaining threads are inheriting from parent threads. Yes, that is correct. So basically the option is all of the above, right? Because all the answers are correct, so I can choose all of the above. So choose all the possible right answers. Green threads are completely managed by JVM. Is it right? Green threads are completely managed by JVM. That is correct. Native threads are completely managed by underlying processor. Yes, that is correct. So whenever you see about any native methods in Java, so that may or may not work as per Java, because it is depending on processor, the underlying processor where the Java code is executing. So basically green threads are completely managed by JVM and native threads are managed by underlying processor. So all of the above is correct answer. What are all deprecated methods in Java? Stop, suspend, resume, destroy. All the methods are deprecated in Java, right? Now let's move on to the next one. What are all the possible states or life cycle of a given thread at any time? So a thread can be at any time, any of these, right? Let's say new, it can be ready or runnable, it can be in running state, it can be in waiting state, it can be in dead state. Yeah, all of the above is the possible answer. Choose the possible right answers. Thread group is to group or categorize the threads based on the same functionality. Yes, that is correct. You can group the threads based on the same functionality, you can group it. Thread dot current thread dot get thread group. So this will give you the group of a current thread. This will give you the group of a current thread. That is correct, right? By using the get thread group, you can get the group name, right, wherever it is referred to. System thread group is parent for any thread groups in Java. That is correct. The way how we have object class is very basically directly or indirectly inherited for any of the class which you write in Java. Similarly, thread group also, there is a thread group called system thread group that is a parent for any thread groups in Java. So all of the above. Choose all the possible right answers. Concurrent package is to avoid the deadlock situation. Concurrent package is to avoid the deadlock situation. Yes, that is correct, right? So if you use synchronous keyword, there is a possibility of deadlock situation. So in order to avoid it, you have to use some concurrent package. Concurrent package is to improve the performance when compared to using synchronous keyword. Definitely. Now, instead of using synchronous keyword, if you use concurrent package, your performance will be far better than using synchronous keyword. When you use concurrent package, if a lock of an object exists, it will given to the thread. Otherwise, the thread can do some other works. Yes, that is correct. So that is how you are actually seeing the actual improvements, right? If you're using concurrent package in your program, and if a lock of an object exists, then a thread can able to use it. Otherwise, they don't need to wait. Meanwhile, the thread can do some other work, right? So long waited thread is given the first chance if you use concurrent package. Yes, that is also correct. So if you use concurrent package, so the thread which is waiting for longer time will get the first chance, right? Will be given the first chance. So all of the above is the right answer. Choose all the possible right answers. Lock is an interface and reentrant lock is a class in Java. Lock, try lock, and unlock are some of the methods in reentrant lock class. Yes, these are the right. So lock is interface, which actually reentrant lock is a class in Java. So reentrant lock actually implements lock interface, and these are some of the methods, right? So try lock or unlock or lock, these are some of the methods which are there in the reentrant lock class, right? Now let's move to the next one. Choose all the possible right answers. Thread pool is the pool of threads that can be reused and hence improve in the performance. Thread pool, yeah, there is a concept called thread pool in Java where it is nothing but a pool of threads, right? The group of threads, right? So thread pool reduces the performance. thread pool reduce the performance? No, actually thread pool actually increase the performance, right? So I can go by this one. Thread pool can be used with executor framework. Yes, that is correct. Job of the thread can be submitted in executor framework. So in the executor framework, we can use the executor framework where you can submit the threads, right? So Java of a thread can be submitted. Yes, that is correct. Executor and executor service are interfaces in Java. That is correct. So both are interfaces. Some people will get confused whether executor is a class or interface, and executor service is a class or interface. So both are interface. Okay. So executor service extends executor in Java. Okay. So these are the answers, right answers. Now let's move on to the last two questions we have. We are approaching the last part of the class section. Choose all the possible right answers. Thread local is to define the local variables of a particular thread which can't be accessed by other threads. That is correct, right? That is the reason we have thread local. There is no concept called thread local. No, that is not correct. So we have thread local. Thread local is a class in Java. Thread local is a class in Java. Yes, that is correct, right? So it is a class in Java. What is the difference between runnable and callable in Java? If your class implements runnable, then when we call threads start method, it internally calls run method of runnable interface. That is correct. If your class implements callable, then when we call threads start method, it will internally calls call method of a runnable interface. Actually, sorry, this is a callable interface. There is a typo here. So instead of runnable interface, it should be callable interface, because in call method is only there in callable interface. It's a wrong here. It's a typo. Instead of callable, I frame the question as runnable. Apologies for it. So actually this is also correct. So run won't return anything. Yeah, the run method won't return anything. Call method returns the future object of the submitted job. That is correct. So basically all of the above is the right answer. Let's go and check it out. Yeah, all of the above. All right, let me go and submit the answers right now. And let me view the score. If you guys see here, 50 out of 50, right? These are the right answers. So let me scroll these questions with answers slowly so that you guys can recheck your answers and then see how you have answered it. Let me go slowly. You can pause the video and then take a note of the answers and see how you can able to check with your answers, and then you can post me your answers as well. If you have any questions as well, you can always feel free to post your questions or your clarifications, anything required. Always welcome. Yeah, you can take a note of it, all the answers. So these are the right answers for all the questions. I think we have almost 50 questions we have. These are the right answers for the 50 questions. So whenever you go for an interview, if you don't have much time to refresh your knowledge about multi-threading, and if you feel that like, okay, multi-threading, you are not confident at all, at least go through this video once and then check your knowledge where you are, and then accordingly you can go through the in detail videos which I have posted in the previous section of this particular course, where you guys will get in and out of it. So if you guys thoroughly go through those videos, then all the answers you might have chosen correctly, and also you'll feel more comfortable before you appear for the interview, because you don't need to worry about multi-threading at all the concepts with respect to multi-threading is covered, right? So hope you guys can able to relate all these answers. These are right answers. Okay guys, if you guys have any question regarding this particular video or any clarifications you are looking for with respect to multi-threading or anything related to Java, please post your comments in the comment section. I will be more than happy to assist. And also I would recommend you guys to join with our other social media groups, let's say in Facebook, in Telegram, as well as in our other way of communication. So that will help us to get interconnected each other quickly, and we will respond you back as soon as possible. Thanks for watching, and if you guys like this video, please hit the like button and get notification by clicking the notification bell icon in your channel, and also please share it with your friends. I will see you in the next interesting video guys. Thank you. Bye bye.